becomes sin. And what you are seeing in America right now, when ICE storms into neighborhoods, kicks down doors in the darkness of the night, and zip ties children like criminals, is nothing short of wickedness dressed up in law enforcement. In Chicago, a little child, not a threat, not a felon, was zip-tied during a raid. Can you imagine that? The trembling of a child's hands, bound by the same system that claims to stand for justice. When did we become a nation that terrorized the innocent while pretending to protect the free? The Word of God declares this in Acts 25:16. It is not the manner of the Romans to deliver any man to die, before that he which is accused have the accusers face to face, and have license to answer for himself concerning the crime laid against him. Even Rome, yep, wicked Rome, the same empire that crucified Jesus Christ, had enough sense to say a man must first face his accuser. He deserves to speak for himself. Yet today, we call ourselves civilized, a civilized nation. We snatch mothers from their children, deport fathers in the night, and separate families without even giving them a chance to stand before their accuser. That's not justice. That's being a coward in uniform. That's not law. That's oppression wearing a badge. God never ordained secret judgments or hidden trials. Every accusation should be brought to light. Every human being should be treated with dignity, because the image of God is not erased by a border or a birth certificate. But this is what happens when a nation loses its conscience, when people live double lives, smiling in public while supporting cruelty in private. They put on masks that hide their hypocrisy. They lift their hands in worship on Sunday, but lift their voices in approval of injustice on Monday. And God says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. If you can watch a child cry with zip ties cutting into their wrist and not feel something burn inside of you, then your heart has gone too cold for God to reach. This isn't about politics. It's about people. This isn't about immigration. It's about humanity. We must rip off the mask, expose the hypocrisy, and speak the truth, because silence always sides with the oppressor. I stand here today. Let every man face his accuser. Let every family be treated with dignity. Let America remember its soul before God himself stands as your accuser. It's time for you to take off the mask, ICE. Let's see the real coward behind the mask.
All right. Well, if that didn't make you sizzle in your spirit, I don't know what will. Okay, so Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it, because it is a lot going on. It is a lot going on, but we're about to talk about it because y'all's president is crazy. Okay. All right, Dorada said he said what he said. All right, Pearlie's in the house. Claudette, Queen Huey, we the people. Perplex, Buckhorse DC said he took the mask off. Nene is in here. All right, let's get into it. Mel, King Lion Crown is here. Vince I Am from the UK. Greta. All right, most hated bronze flat power god. Denise, Lillian X. Just anticipate. Nessa G. All right. So anyway, with that all being said, hey Alice. Let's get into it, Randa. All right, y'all know I love me some Loyal Royce. I see you, Desmond. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Khalid, her lead is in here. All right, let's get it popping. Now, before we do, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes. I see you, Soldier M.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Kratz. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, and also she sells a beard oil. So let's talk about the big scam that Trump put on everybody. Trump played everybody once again. Okay, nothing new. The lies just keep coming. So here's the thing. Let's get into it because Trump lied and acted as though he brokered peace with Israel and called a ceasefire. Okay, and he thought he was going to win that Nobel Peace Prize, and he's going around here telling nothing but lies, acting as though he brokered peace, had them sign an agreement, deal, and all of this. And then what do you know? There is no ceasefire. Okay. So let's talk about it. Israel considers restricting aid to Gaza over delayed hostage handover. Now, we do know that 20 hostages were released. Okay. Thank God for small favors. But this is not going the way people thought it was going to go. So let's get into it because one of the bodies returned by Hamas, not a hostage, according to Israeli military. And here's what they say. They say hostage release. One of the four bodies handed over by Hamas last night does not belong to an Israeli hostage, according to their military. The bodies of three other hostages have been identified. Hamas is expected to return more remains today, according to an Israeli source. Now, there's a aid delay. Israel has told the UN that the expected number of aid trucks allowed into Gaza will be reduced or delayed due to Hamas's slow release of hostage remains, they say. I guess any old excuse will do. So they say deal progress. President Donald Trump said phase 2 of the Gaza ceasefire agreement had begun and also warned that Hamas must disarm. Sources said that told CNN that negotiations on the deal are ongoing in Egypt. Okay, they say violent crashes have erupted between Hamas and rival groups in several areas across Gaza in recent days as concerns grow about the security situation in the enclave following Israel's partial withdrawal. Let's go to this report. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. It looks like Trump's just out here telling lies, honey. He thought they were going to give him that Nobel Peace Prize, so he would just say whatever he had to say. And, they were supposed to be given out October the 10th. It was given out. So I guess Trump thought that by the time anyone figured out he was a whole liar who lies, he'd already have the reward sitting on his mantle at the White House, no less. This is all crazy.
Oh my gosh, Susan, your boys are getting so big. How do you manage to keep them all fed?
Whoa.
Okay, so anyway, while we're waiting for that to cue, let me pull up Trump's post because he was going in on China about the soybeans. We're going to talk about that in a minute, okay? Because he gave this bailout, billions of dollars to Argentina, who is now selling China the soybeans that the U.S. isn't. I find it interesting. So this is what Trump posted on Truth Social. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to stop that share for a second. Okay, this is what he says. Says, I believe that China purposely not buying our soybeans and causing difficulty for our soybean farmers is an economically hostile act. We're considering terminating business with China having to do with cooking oil and other elements of trade as retribution. And as an example, we can easily produce cooking oil ourselves. We don't need to purchase it from China. Do y'all hear this? Do you all hear this, idiots? Okay. Oh my God, this man is so stupid. It really hurts. Okay, it is just painful. Okay, but anyway, hold on. I think this is cute, honey. We got to talk about him and these soybeans and his ignorance. Hold on. Lights up, everyone, please. A like and share. Yes, that's right, Claudette. Blaming everyone except himself, honey. Okay, isn't that what he always does?
Total that Hamas has handed over to the Red Cross from over to the Red Cross late Tuesday night. You can see in this video from inside of the Gaza Strip these Red Cross vehicles arriving at some kind of Hamas building where the bodies were indeed handed over. This now makes 8 bodies total that Hamas has handed over to the Red Cross. From there, they were handed over to Israeli forces inside of the Gaza Strip and then made their way into Israel, where they will undergo forensic analysis at Israel's National Forensic Institute. The primary purpose of that, to confirm that the bodies are indeed those of the hostages that Hamas claims them to be. But despite the handover of these additional bodies, there are still 20 bodies being held by Hamas inside of Gaza, and that's why we've been seeing the families of some of these deceased hostages going public and making clear that the fight for the hostages is not over yet until all of those bodies are handed over, calling on the United States, calling on Israel to ensure that Hamas is held to its end of the bargain. And amid those calls, we've heard from President Trump directly in a Truth Social post saying that while a big burden has been lifted, the job is not done. He says the dead have not been returned as promised. Now, given the slow pace of Hamas handing over these bodies, the Israeli government seems to be planning to take action now. Israeli authorities informing the United Nations that aid shipments into the Gaza Strip will be reduced or delayed as a result of not all of the bodies having been handed over yet. In addition to that, Israel's security establishment recommending that Israel not open the Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt on Wednesday, as previously scheduled, seemingly in retaliation for Hamas not returning more bodies of hostages. And all of this is a reminder of just how fragile this ceasefire agreement actually is. And that's before we even start talking about the next phases of this agreement, which we are told are currently being negotiated in Egypt as we speak. Those next parts of the agreement, of course, revolve around everything from Hamas disarming, Hamas handing over power in Gaza to a transitional authority, and of course the Israeli military withdrawing from the rest of the Gaza Strip, ensuring that this end to the war in Gaza, as President Trump has said it is, actually sticks in the long term.
Okay, so you all heard that. At the end of the day, there is no ceasefire. Okay, Trump is just a liar who lies. All right, that's what that is. So they say earlier, United Nations Relief Chief Tom Fletcher called for a renewed commitment to the delivery of aid to Gaza, warning of further setbacks to the scale up of aid stipulated in the ceasefire deal. Separately, Ross Smith, Director of Emergency Preparedness and Response at the World Food Program, said fewer than a third of agreed aid trucks have been granted access to Gaza. Fewer than a third. Now, I want you all to pay attention because, like I said, Trump sits up here and talks about, that there was a ceasefire and all of that, but honey, it looks like we've been duped. Okay, and so they said Israel has already torched the food, okay, homes and treatment plants. So what does that mean? Well, it means that it makes the living conditions uninhabitable, just about. Okay, so yeah, clearly nothing has changed. All right. And retired federal banks, thank you, beloved, for your kind words. Says amazing show, Professor. Keep up the great work. Thank you. I will. Thank you for your kind words and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Now they say Israel has told the UN that the expected number of aid trucks allowed into Gaza will be reduced or delayed due to Hamas's slow release of the hostages remains. Mourners have gathered in central Israeli city of Ra'anana for the first funeral of one of the deceased hostages who was recently returned by Hamas after more than 2 years. Okay, so anyway, honey, we can't believe anything Trump says. Trump is just a liar who lies. Okay, and that's exactly what he is.
Tonight, there are discussions in Israel about potentially going back in to save those tribes and clans that had the guts to stand up against Hamas.
Wouldn't it be better if this coalition of Arab countries,
Much better.
if they would send in troops to protect the region?
Just remember what you said. If the Arab world would be the force to take Hamas down, it would change the region far more than if Israel did it.
While all of the...
Now, what do y'all have to say about that? Just the whole roots. Hold on, but here he is talking about the gangs.
So
and
they did
whatnot.
take out a couple of gangs that were very bad, very, very bad gangs, and they did take them out, and they killed a number of gang members. And that didn't bother me much, to be honest with you. That's okay. We had a couple of very bad gangs. It's no different than other countries. Like Venezuela sent their gangs into us, and we took care of those gangs. We have Washington, D.C. is one of the safest cities in the country. It was one of the worst cities in the country if you go back just a little while ago, right? Now it's safe. You can walk to work.
This man has such an inflated sense of self, acting like he has done and accomplished so much, when really he hasn't done anything but screw up everything and just make it worse for everybody. So much so that now his people want to talk about unifying. I find it all interesting, honey, and we'll get to that in a moment. But anyway, here's what Governor Gavin Newsom had to say about him, because we already know that he loves trolling Trump. He says, Donald Trump is a babbling old man who can't remember what year it is. Today, he claimed that he was president when the LA fire started. He wasn't. He's very sick mentally, memory problems, and more. Pray for him. Okay. But he was talking about Biden and Biden's mental competency. And so anyway, now let's talk about the bailout. He gave Argentina all of this money, which I find very interesting. Okay, hold on. I'm going to go to this video. First off, no, hold on. First off, let me pull this up. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now listen to this. Why America just bailed out Argentina with a $20 billion lifeline. Okay, but the farmers here are complaining they're not able to sell their soybeans. All right, we have all of these high prices for gas, for food, and everything. People are complaining. He's cut Medicaid, cut Medicare, talking about, just all this stuff that he's doing. And he has $20 billion of our taxpayer money to give to Argentina. Now, I want y'all to see if that makes any sense. Okay, what happened to America First, Trump? Isn't that what he ran his campaign on? The Trump administration is bailing out Argentina in a move that critics are saying has more to do with politics than economics or American interest. Now, that means that $20 billion in U.S. tax money will be used to bail out a country led by a close ally of President Donald Trump, chainsaw-wielding libertarian Javier Milei. Now, the two men met on Tuesday at the White House for a bilateral meeting where the discussion included the extraordinary bailout and tariffs. So they say the bailout is really meant, this is what Trump said, the bailout is really meant to help a good financial philosophy, and so we can help our neighbors. Meanwhile, the U.S. federal government is nearing 2 weeks of being shut down, okay? And U.S. businesses and industries continue to reel from Trump's ongoing trade war. And here are some key details about the administration's extraordinary financial rescue of Argentina. The country's currency fell sharply after President Milei's party suffered a significant defeat in elections last month. The losses shook investors' confidence in Milei's ability to see through his economic reforms. Now, Milei has slashed government spending, cut regulations, and fired tens of thousands of public sector workers since taking office in 2023. His administration has seen some success. Inflation in Argentina eased this year to the slowest monthly pace in more than 4 years. Okay, with that all being said, the Trump administration has argued that Argentina's financial strife could spill over into other economies if it isn't contained swiftly. Now, administration officials say they also see a risk of Argentina, a major economy in South America, strengthening its ties with China. Okay, now the next legislative elections in Argentina take place on October the 26th. And on Thursday, Vicente confirmed on social media that Argentina's bailout is moving forward in two key ways. Vicente said the administration has finalized a $20 billion currency swap. Okay, a currency swap agreement with Argentina's central bank, allowing it to exchange its local currency for the US dollar. It's essentially a $20 billion loan, according to experts. Now, Trump's top economic official also said the administration directly purchased an undisclosed amount of Argentine pesos. It's only the fourth time since 1996 that the United States has brought another country's currency, and this is according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So these measures are aimed at stabilizing Argentina's financial markets. But this is controversial, and here's why. The United States has provided foreign countries with financial lifelines before, okay, usually when the stability of the global economy is at risk or when a close geopolitical ally, such as Mexico, for example, finds itself underwater and could cause damage to U.S. creditors and investors. But this bailout isn't urgent. It's happening at an awkward time, and critics are accusing Trump of using billions of American dollars just to prop up one of his own personal allies. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. Now, the Treasury decision to offer a swap in Argentina is really a signal that Washington is willing to wield its financial tools for political purposes in ways that depart from past norms. This is according to Heidi Kribo-Rediker, a former chief economist at the State Department, and Douglas Rediker, a former U.S. representative on the International Monetary Fund Executive Board, okay, in a Financial Times column published on October the 2nd, saying this is all while the U.S. government is shut down, which has resulted in more than 1 million federal workers being furloughed or working without pay. Y'all do realize that people are working and not getting paid, right? Well, he's giving away billions. Now, the same thing we were complaining about Biden for doing, about giving away all that money to Ukraine when we're over here in economic decline. Trump's doing the same thing, but didn't he say that he was going to fix the economy? Isn't that what he was bragging about? They say it's inexplicable that President Trump is propping up a foreign government while he shuts down his own. That is ass backwards and so obtuse. Okay. Now, Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts said in a statement Thursday that meanwhile, the result has been a 1-2 punch against American farmers from Trump's own policies. American farmers are having a tough year, in no small part because of Trump's bid to reshape global trade. And Argentina's bailout inadvertently worsened their plight. Now, China, a major buyer of U.S. soybeans, halted purchases of the commodity in May in response to Trump's trade war. And it's funny that Trump's sitting here talking trash about them on the internet, making these idiotic posts, talking trash, like China's following him around on social media, listening to everything that he posts or reading everything that he posts. That's his get back. Okay, at the end of the day, talking trash about them when he's the one that started the whole trade war in first place. This was all him. Now he's saying they're purposefully doing stuff. So anyway, goes on to say, then after Argentina temporarily scrapped export taxes on grains, China swooped in and bought tens of thousands of pounds of Argentine soybeans instead. Now, why would USA help bail out Argentina while they take American soybean producers, their biggest market? That is like so crazy. It's insane. We should have leveraged, or we should use leverage at every turn to help hurting farm economy. Family farmers should be the top of mind in negotiations, okay, by representatives of the U.S. This is what Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa wrote on X, September the 25th. Because who benefits from any of this? Beyond Malay, China, and the Argentine Treasury, critics say the bailout also stands to greatly benefit wealthy fund managers who are major holders of Argentine debts and assets. Okay, probably some of Trump's best friends. Now, the bailout would deliver a major windfall to Rob Citron, a billionaire hedge fund manager with significant investments in Argentina. Now, Bassent's personal and professional relationship with Citron has spanned decades, according to independent journalist Judd Legum. They say Trump promised America first, but he's putting himself and his billionaire buddies first and sticking Americans with the bill. Okay, Warren, this is what Warren said in a statement Thursday, saying 8 Democrats, including Warren, okay, said in a statement that there's 8 Democrats, including Warren, who have introduced a bill in Congress to prevent Argentina's bailout. But Bassett told CNBC recently that this trope that we're helping out wealthy Americans with interest down there couldn't be more false. What we're doing is maintaining a U.S. strategic interest in the Western Hemisphere. That's all lies and BS. They know what they're doing. Trump is helping out his billionaire buddies and helping people who are his own personal allies, just like they said. Just like when there's people that are his own personal foes, he starts trumping up charges, okay, pun intended. He starts trumping up charges or trying to, and then getting people to come in and levy prosecution against them, to indict them or whatever he can do to get his get back. Okay, this man is absolutely crazy. These farmers are over here suffering, but he wants to give a bailout to the very people that are now producing or giving the soybeans to China. Make it all make sense. Queen Hewitt says, while U.S. soldiers browse the soup line in uniform. Greta said this administration is creating a crisis. Exactly. It's really sad. Also, let me say this while I'm thinking about it. The other day, do you all remember when I was going in so hard in the paint on Enrique Taddeo? Forgot that fool has already been released from prison. Trump pardoned him and all the other idiots that caused the whole insurrection and that are clearly domestic terrorists. How did I forget that? Anyway, honey, what else hasn't Trump, what has he not done? But hold on, like stuff, everyone, please like and share.
And loose. And Arkansas soybean farmer Scott Brown. Scott, the hits just keep on coming. I'll come to you in that in a moment. But Ed, first off, explain why Argentina is in need of this bailout.
Well, President Milei has imposed, remember, Argentina is the most bankrupted country in history. It's defaulted 9 times on its sovereign debt. So this isn't a new story for Argentina. President Milei has imposed this austerity package to bring down hyperinflation. It succeeded for a while, but the hardship it imposed on the Argentinian voter led to his party's defeat in local elections a few weeks ago, in early September, which panicked the markets that he wasn't going to be able to sustain this strong peso, which he's used to keep inflation down, and therefore people started selling the peso. And that led to a run on the currency and the usual balance of payments problems that Argentina has chronically suffered from. And Milei now faces midterm elections in a few days from now, at the end of October. And if he loses those, then this once sort of globally praised experiment, libertarian experiment, will probably be over because the opposition Peronista party are very opposed to these measures. So Trump's giving him $20 billion, pretty much with no strings attached and with no possibility of regional contagion. This is not like Mexico in the 90s or the Asian economies in the late 90s or the great financial crisis. This is a problem in one country. And the fact that he's giving this $20 billion credit swap line, but it's free money, at a time when the US government is shut down and when America's farmers are really suffering from the trade war and the close off of their export markets. And on top of that, that China is now buying its soybean from Argentina and not the United States. Well, you know, this has the makings of a really egregious step by the president.
Yeah, it is really egregious, okay? This just goes to show that Trump's absolutely, he couldn't care less about the United States or the people in it. The only thing Trump cares about is himself, his billionaire friends, and what he can get from them and his money. That's it. He's greasing his pockets. The only reason he wanted to be president is so he can get filthy rich. Okay, so he can get even more wealth accumulated. All right, that's all he's doing. He's building generational wealth for himself. He doesn't give a damn about the economy. He doesn't care about the government shutdown. He does not care. All right, and then Argentina is supposed to have all this financial distress or whatever. How the hell is that our problem? Okay, how is that our problem? Now he sat up there and cut off funds to Ukraine and was talking trash about what Biden did, but then turns around and does the same thing pretty much. This is all crazy. Okay, but let's talk about this. Let's go to this other video where they say the soybean farmers hit back at Trump once they find out that he gave all this darn money to Argentina. Okay, their very own competition.
Now, U.S. national editor for the Financial Times, Ed Luce, and Arkansas soybean farmer Scott Brown. Scott, the hits just keep on coming. I'll come to you in that a moment. But Ed, first off, explain why Argentina is in need of this bailout.
Well, President Milei has imposed. Remember, Argentina is the most bankrupted country, but the hardship it imposed and the usual balance of payments problems that Argentina has chronically suffered from. And Milei now faces midterm elections in a few days from now, at the end of October. And if he loses those, then this once sort of globally praised experiment, libertarian experiment, will probably be over because the opposition Peronista party are very opposed to these measures. So Trump's giving him $20 billion, pretty much with no strings attached and with no possibility of regional contagion. This is not like Mexico in the 90s or the Asian economies in the late 90s or the great financial crisis. This is a problem in one country. And the fact that he's giving this $20 billion credit swap line, but it's free money, at a time when the US government is shut down and when America's farmers are really suffering from the trade war and the close off of their export markets. And on top of that, that China is now buying its soybean from Argentina and not the United States. Well, you know, this has the makings of a really egregious step by the president, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I'm going to get to the domestic politics in a moment, but just one more on the motivation here. Why would the U.S. do any of that? Why would they want to save Argentina's economy in that way, Milei's presidency or his ruling coalition? What's in it for us?
Well, so you must remember that Milei is a real darling of the MAGA right. And in fact, the CPAC conference was held in Buenos Aires last December with Milei as the star of the show and many of Trump's incoming cabinet going down there to speak. And Milei, of course, was famous with the chainsaw. He's taken that metaphorical chainsaw to the government bureaucracy in Buenos Aires, and he presented a real chainsaw to Elon Musk. a few weeks after Trump was inaugurated. So he is a buddy. He's a great friend. And I think that's part of it. And another part of it is a lot of big American hedge funds are heavily exposed, are heavily reliant in their investments and bets on the success of the Millet experiment. And if that fails, a lot of people who are very close to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent are going to take a haircut, as they say, in the markets.
Well, that's interesting. Donald Trump was asked what makes Argentina so worthy of this. Here's what he said.
How is this Argentina rescue package America first? And is this rescue package meant to help President Millei's party in the coming election?
No, it's really meant to help a good financial philosophy where Argentina can, after 20 years of disaster, because it was very successful at one point, and it can be again, like Venezuela. Venezuela was very, very successful, and now it's a dictatorship. We want to help Argentina, and we want to always help ourselves, but we want to help Argentina.
Okay, so Scott, what do you think of that?
Well, I think you've got a bigger problem. I think somebody needs to ask Argentina what they did with the $18 billion that China gave them in 2009 that they haven't paid back yet. So now in 16 years, Argentina's got $38 billion of money to prop their economy up while it does nothing but knife me at home. They filled my orders in China. They will fill the bean meal orders. I mean, in what world is it good to loan people, the worst person in the world, to pay back money to prop up their economy, to protect hedge funds who are deeply immersed in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange? Every morning when I watch the market, they tell me if the funds are long or short, and that tells me what my it's not supply and demand, it's what the funds do. So how is this a good deal for me at all?
Right.
What if the administration is giving you and other farmers a bailout? Does that help?
Well, I want trade, not aid. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of boys that's painted in the corner and they're not going to survive without it. But bailing out Argentina doesn't help my market. Sending me the tariff money that me and every other taxpayer in this country is paying for. I buy parts and I buy groceries and I'm paying the tariffs exactly like everybody else is. Sending me that money doesn't fix my problem. I mean, to me, currently all we want to do is throw money everywhere at problems instead of actually sit down and try to fix one. If Argentina fails, okay, they're my second biggest competition. If we're going to make American agriculture great and make it stand on its own 2 feet, then I need my second biggest competitor to fail, because that only leaves me one to fight.
If the market does go to Argentina, say it stays in Argentina or it goes to Brazil as it currently is there, and I know Donald Trump was going to talk to Xi about this, but that meeting, according to Trump, he delayed it or put it off indefinitely. Does it come back to the U.S.? How does it come back to the U.S.?
I don't know that it does come back. I mean, you know, you look at China spent billions of dollars in South America building infrastructure. They're building a railroad through Peru. I mean, they're vested in this deal. And then we got mad Friday and told the Chinese off and cost us 20% of the market Friday because beans went down 20. We had actually got to a good basis Thursday, actually to a positive basis. We were all excited, like, wait a minute, this might work a little bit. And Trump got mad at China and made the big tweet about China, and they took 15 cents off the basis and 20 cents off the market. I don't know that the Chinese are coming back. I mean, I don't know that. Why would you come back with somebody that every day they don't know where they stand? Anytime they do anything, and I'm not telling you the Chinese are perfect, but anytime they do anything, we get mad. There's no stable ground. How do you feed 1 billion people without stable ground?
Now, this man is exactly right. I mean, Trump is too unpredictable. Why would people want to continue to fool with him? Okay, Measurement says, did you see Agent Orange was crying about his turkey neck picture on front of Time? He said they disappeared his hair. That should be the least of his worries, but clearly that's something he's worried about. I'll show you all the picture in a second. Thank you for your contribution to the channel and your insight to the topic, or for your joke about Trump. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, I appreciate you. Yeah, so, like, you know, China probably isn't going to come back. They've already got a deal going with Argentina right now. Okay, and then like the man said, throwing money every time you create a problem, what's that going to do eventually? People want solutions to real world issues, and Trump's not providing any of that. All he's doing is worried about himself. He is so stupid. I keep telling you all, Trump's job, in my opinion, is to completely dismantle America, and he's doing it, starting with the economy. Okay, this is all crazy. Look at him. That's the picture he's crying about. Look at him. That is a terrible angle. Okay. They're talking about they disappeared his hair. He doesn't have much of it. All right. Look like a whole hot ass mess. All right. I just want y'all to pay attention. That is you all's president. Okay. So anyway, with that all being said, let's continue. Kitty Muse has become a member. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay. For purchasing a membership. So anyway, this is just getting worse and worse. I mean, I can't even believe some of the stuff that Trump has done. Now, somebody had said in the chat a minute or two ago, somebody, wait a minute, King Lejeune said his tracks always showing. Okay. Dangerous said a picture is worth 1,000 words. Kelly said he's complaining about his weave. Right. It looks like they took off his toupee. Okay, now somebody said in the chat a minute or two ago that the Proud Boys are in ICE. Yeah, and that's another thing. That's another thing why ICE is so problematic. Y'all know the racist RS Proud Boys wanted to just sign up for that so quick. Okay, and then speaking of Enrique Tarrio, okay, who I forgot was released. Don't you know back in June, how did I forget? Because back in June, he literally came up with some type of ICE app. Okay, that would pay users in cryptocurrency for reporting undocumented immigrants. I find it interesting because isn't he an immigrant himself? It's Afro-Cuban. So stupid. But anyway, yeah, you got the Proud Boys all in there, okay? With their hateful selves. So anyway, with that all being said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now let's talk about Special Counsel Jack Smith, because he came out and spoke, finally. And he was on MSNBC, so let's go to it. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I just want to go to some of what he said, and then we've got to get into this whole ridiculous arse purple revolution that I'm not here for, okay? Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jack Smith was the guy who was appointed special prosecutor by Merrick Garland in 2022.
Speaking out and mustering courage is Tish James, along with Jack Smith in this news cycle. I have never seen Tish James really sound the note she sounded last night. But the idea that Donald Trump is going to roll over these people, or that these folks once targeted with what is clearly a vindictive prosecution, just going on the sights and sounds of his own appointees inside the Justice Department and these U.S. Attorney's office, is unprecedented in its own right.
So we're starting to see more of a pushback, which is somewhat to be expected. We've gone from the talking about it stage of these prosecutions that appear to be motivated by retribution and have been forced through over the objections of career prosecutors into this stage of active prosecutions. We are likely to see John Bolton, the former national security advisor, charged next. We don't know about Adam Schiff in Maryland on another mortgage fraud case. But this is a necessity now. You've pushed people to the back wall. You've hit marble, right? In order to defend themselves, their reputations, and perhaps even their liberty, these people have got to start talking out. So what's interesting about Smith, Letitia James, I've observed as a politician for probably 25 years. We're both from Brooklyn. This was fairly characteristic of the way that she's spoken about Donald Trump in the past. Obviously, there's a great urgency that wasn't there before. But the Smith conversation, for those of us who covered him and essentially had to sort of feed upon old transcripts and see him speaking before the criminal court in The Hague, I think we maybe got 100 words out of him at 2 press conferences.
Yeah.
It was just fascinating to see how not only confident he was, but how much he appeared ready for battle. And I'll tell you something. Over the last few months, I've been talking to Republicans on the Hill who were expressing a lot of concern about having Smith appear in public. That is why I think the House, Jim Jordan's Oversight Committee today requested from Jack Smith that he do a transcribed interview behind closed doors. They don't necessarily, and I'm not asserting this is my opinion, this is what Republicans have told me. They do not want that Jack Smith to provide video clips of the type that he just provided to Andrew Weissman.
Well, on that note, let's play another one.
These are people who are not self-promoters. They do not like to tell their own story. They cannot start a sentence with I. They start that with we. These are team players who don't want anything but to do good in the world. They're not interested in politics. And I get very concerned when I see how easy it is to demonize these people for political ends, when these are the very sort of people I think we should be celebrating. The people on my special counsel team were like that. The idea that politics played a role in who worked on that case or who got chosen is ludicrous. And Andrew, you know, and this is another thing that I think if you're not inside the U.S. Department of Justice, the idea that politics would play a role in big cases like this, it's absolutely ludicrous, and it's totally contrary to my experience as a prosecutor.
The most salient thing that he points at is the truest thing, that I think anyone that has either worked in the government, I worked in the government, and after 9/11, trying to get Bob Mueller to do press to talk about the things they were doing to keep the country safe was near impossible. It was easier to get things declassified from the CIA than to get Bob Mueller to do a press roundtable. And then the notion that any of these people is comfortable defending their place in a democracy, they're head down people. I mean, what is the Pandora's box that has been opened by this, retribution campaign on steroids that the Republicans in the House and Senate have greenlit every step of the way?
Look, to embrace the cliche, we are in terra incognita, uncharted territory here. We don't know how the heck this is all going to play out. I mean, the one thing that the dynamic that is shifting is we have witnessed the sound of one hand punching for 7 months. Most of the individuals that are involved and have been targeted, and I wrote about Chris Meyer and Walt Giardina. They were kind enough to talk with me about their experiences in being fired. They were very, very reluctant. It took me quite a long time to get them to even agree to an interview. These are FBI agents. They tend to be extraordinarily reluctant to speak in public and more wary of the press than they are of government officials. But I think what's going on right now is the damage to these institutions is so profound. And the direct influence being exercised by the White House so significant that I think you are going to see people speaking out more and more. Now, how this all plays out in public, how the American people respond to that, I think is very much an open question, because this is an administration that has proven really adept at providing one side of the story to its constituency. So I don't know what the impact is going to be, but I hope and I think we are going to see a greater multiplicity of voices and more of a public response from the individuals who are being accused of politicizing the Justice Department and FBI.
And Glenn, your interview with those two agents is distinct from your coverage of
Okay, I think we've heard enough. And here's the thing. There's 3 FBI agents who filed lawsuits, okay, as they should, because Trump is just playing political games. He is doing the most, and he doesn't like this guy, Special Prosecutor Jack Smith. Well, he has animosity against this man. Like I said, this guy was like prosecuting Trump in 2 major cases. Okay, he was appointed by Merrick Garland, like I said, in 2022. And First of all, he was prosecuting Trump for allegedly mishandling classified documents after leaving the White House and obstructing efforts to try and retrieve them, if you all remember that. And then also the 2020 election interference case. Okay, he also was leading the federal prosecution related to Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election results, including actions leading up to the January 6th Capitol attack. And so Trump has a whole bunch of hate towards him. He's called this man deranged, corrupt, politically biased, said it was a witch hunt, all the typical things that Trump says when somebody comes for him, when they absolutely have legal grounds to do so because he has done felonious things. Okay? The fact that this man has committed all of these crimes and they have allowed him to gain access to the White House to run the country and now to do all these things that he is doing is insane. It is absolutely insane. Now they're sitting up here talking about a damn purple revolution. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, they could miss me with it because these are the idiots who put him in office. We're going to get to that in a second. But first of all, let's talk about just anticipate that he loves that word witch hunt. Yes, he absolutely does. Okay, but let's talk about how this judge has blocked the land transfer in Florida, okay, for Trump's library. Florida judge temporarily blocks transfer for downtown Miami land for Trump's presidential library. Honey, he doesn't need one. Okay, he doesn't need one. Now, the move by Circuit Judge Mabel Ruiz came after a Miami activist alleged that officials at a local college violated Florida's open government law when they gifted the sizable plot of real estate to the state, which then voted to transfer it to the foundation for the planned library. They say this is not an easy decision. This is what Mabel said Tuesday when explaining her ruling from the bench, finding that the college didn't give the public reasonable notice ahead of the vote last month, saying this is not a case, at least for this court, okay, rooted in politics. So the nearly 3-acre property is a developer's dream, and it's valued at more than $67 million. This is according to a 2025 assessment by the Miami-Dade County property appraiser. Now, one real estate expert wagered that the parcel, one of the last underdeveloped lots on an iconic stretch of palm tree-lined Biscayne Boulevard, could sell for hundreds of millions of dollars and more. So Marvin Dunn, an activist and chronicler of local Black history, filed a lawsuit this month in the Miami-Dade County Court against the Board of Trustees for Miami-Dade College, a state-run school that owned the property. Now, he alleged that the board violated Florida's government in the Sunshine State, okay, in the Sunshine Law, by not providing sufficient notice for its special meeting on September the 23rd when it voted to give up the land. So basically saying they didn't know they were going to do it. Okay, they had no knowledge and nobody was informed. An agenda released ahead of the meeting simply stated that board would consider conveying property to a state fund overseen by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis and the Florida cabinet, but provided no details on which piece of property was being considered or even why. Now, unlike every other meeting the board has held this year, the 8 a.m. meeting on September the 23rd was not live streamed. Then a week later, DeSantis and other top GOP officials voted to transfer the land again, effectively putting the property under the control of the Trump family when they deeded it to the foundation for Trump's library. Now, that foundation is led by 3 trustees, and those are Eric Trump, Tiffany Trump's husband, Michael Bolos, and the president's attorney, James Kiley. Now, Jesus Suarez, an attorney for the college, argued that MDC did what was required under the law and questioned Dunn's political motivations for filing the case, saying there is no requirement under Florida law that there be specificity on notice, because those trustees can come into that room and talk to each other about whatever they wish. This is what Suarez says. Now, attorneys for Dunn maintain that no one who wasn't already in the deal could have known what the board was going to do. They say that people have a right to know what they're doing or what they're going to decide to do when the transaction is so significant, so unusual, and deprives the students and the college of this land. This is what plaintiff's attorney Richard Brodsky, speaking with the Associated Press prior to the judge's decision, said. Now, Javier Lesoto, general counsel for Miami-Dade College, testified that it is still in the process of finalizing the land transfer. Delays caused by an injunction could cost the college up to $300,000, he says. That was just his estimation. So other Florida locations had previously been floated as library sites, including properties associated with Florida Atlantic University and Boca Raton and Florida International University in suburban Miami. Now, DeSantis signed a bill this year preempting local governments from blocking development of a presidential library, aiming to overrule potential opposition in liberal-leaning counties and or municipalities. So Kate Payne is a core member for the anyway, that's nothing. Okay, so anyway, y'all heard that. The judge is like, no, they're gonna put that on pause for now, at least. Okay, so let's go to this report and see what they're saying about it. Likes up, everyone, please like it. Byron, why are you shouting taco, taco, taco?
Miami is now in question. This after a turn of events last night. A Miami-Dade judge temporarily blocking the transfer of land planned for the site that's right next to the Freedom Tower.
Yeah, so CBS News Miami's Morgan Reiner, she joins us now live from downtown Miami to explain the latest development in this fight.
Good morning. The lawsuit claims that Miami-Dade College violated laws by not giving the public enough notice before they voted to transfer the land to the state. The land, which is one of the last undeveloped sites along Biscayne Boulevard, is valued conservatively at more than $67 million. After Miami-Dade College voted to hand the land to the state, Governor DeSantis and the Florida cabinet then voted to transfer the site to the Trump family. Community activist Marvin Dunn filed a lawsuit against the Miami-Dade College Board of Trustees. Our partners at the Miami Herald reported that during the hearing, the college's attorneys argued that Florida's Sunshine Law only requires notification, not specifics about the purpose of a public meeting. But the judge disagreed, ruling that there is a likelihood that Dunn will win the case and declaring that the college can't give up the land in the meantime. Here's
this is not an easy decision. This is not a hands-down easy decision. It may appear at first blush, but as the defense has argued, the question of the specificity required is something that is subjective to some degree. On the record before the court does not believe that the notice was reasonable.
Miami-Dade College now has two options moving forward. They can either keep fighting this in court or they can hold a new publicly noticed meeting in order to discuss transferring the land. I'm live in Miami, Morgan Reiner.
Yes, News Miami. Just forget it. Trump doesn't need a damn library. Could you all imagine Trump's library, his presidential library would be, some kind of shrine to Jim Crow. Okay, I could see nooses hanging, Confederate flags waving, all kinds of BS. Okay, a cross burning in the front of it. Okay, out on the landscape. I could just see it all now. Please. Yeah, he doesn't need one. D Maybe said, Queen, did you talk about the young Republican text messages? No, I didn't. Can you give me time, sir? That's next on the agenda. That's what I'm about to talk about right now. I already had it queued. Okay. I already had it queued. So let's get into it because I find this all so interesting. These are the text messages of the young Republicans. Okay, this is the next generation. These are the ones that are going to be running things after Trump and the rest of his cronies retire. And here's what they had to say. Please pay attention, honey. Their text messages got leaked. Talking about how they love Hitler. Okay. Very racist. Everything they were saying was just ridiculous. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and grape. Do y'all hear it? Yeah, so they're racist, anti-Semites, and everything else. We'll see how this all flies. Okay, so here are some of the things they were saying. They said everyone that votes no is going to the blank chamber. And y'all know what kind I'm talking about. Then they say, when do we bring this side out? One of them says, also, we are officially under consideration for a Trump endorsement. I'm ready to watch people burn now. Great. I love Hitler. That's what one of them said. These people are sick. Okay, you're giving nationals too much credit and expecting the you to be honest. Are you going to do whatever it takes? I'd go to the zoo if I wanted to watch monkeys play ball. Y'all hear that? If we ever had a leak of this chat, we'd be cooked for real, for real. Ah, well, it's leaked. I wonder how come we're not hearing anything about this. I wonder how come nobody's talking about it. Why is it so damn quiet? Okay? Why is it so quiet? Why isn't anybody talking about this? I have several questions, but let's continue. These are the people on the right, but they always want us to think the left is the problem. When do we start bullying, dude? Kick the B. And everyone that endorsed but then votes for us is going to the blank chamber. They keep on bringing that up. Okay, he also hates the you-know-whos. They love the watermelon people. Wonder who that is. Stay in the closet, blank. That starts with an F and ends with a T. I think we can figure out what they were actually saying. Okay, this girl is really, I don't know what that's supposed to be. I think they're saying graped. Okay, graped. That's what that looks like. A R and then a D at the end. These people are sick. Now, these are the next leaders. Okay, these are the next leaders and the Charlie Kirks of the world. Now, here's what they say. Leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They referred to Black people as monkeys and the watermelon people and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about graping their enemies with and driving them to self-deletion and lauded Republicans who they believe support slavery. Y'all hear it? William Hendricks, the Kansas Young Republicans vice chair, used the words in ninja, okay, variations of a racial slur more than a dozen times in the chat. I just want y'all to pay attention. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans at the time, referred to grape as epic. These people are really, really sick. Okay, are y'all listening? And now this isn't just them. The ones that are in office right now probably think the same way. That's just my opinion. Now, Peter Giunta, who at the time was chair of the same organization, wrote in a message sent in June that everyone that votes no is going to the chamber. Okay, Giunta was referring to an upcoming vote on whether he should become chair of the Young Republican National Federation, the GOP's 15,000 member political organization for Republicans between 18 and 40 years old, saying, I'm going to create some of the greatest physiological torture methods known to man. We only want true believers, he continued. Two members of the chat responded saying, everyone that votes no is going to the chamber, and everyone that endorsed the votes for us is going to the chamber. Okay? Now, can we fix the showers? Okay, they just go on to say some of the stuff. I'm not even going to say some of the stuff they said. But I want you all to pay attention because there was thousands of these messages. The group chat members spoke freely about the pressure to cow to Trump to avoid being called a rhino, the love of Yahtzees within their party's right wing, and the president's alleged work to suppress documents related to wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein's child S crimes. So they were talking greasy about Trump. I wonder what he's going to have to say about it. Now, they say Trump's too busy burning the Epstein files. Alex Dwyer, the chair of the Kansas Young Republicans, said, this is what he wrote in one instance. Dwyer and Kay Caddy declined to comment. Maligno and Hendricks did not return requests for comments, but some involved in the chat did respond publicly. You know who leaked this chat? One of them. One of them who was sitting there letting them just talk and run their mouth, sitting there thinking, yeah, I can't wait to put this out there in public. That's exactly what happened. Junta claimed the release of the chat is part of a highly coordinated year-long character assassination led by Gavin Wax at the New York City Young Republican Club, an allusion to a once obscured internecine war that has now spilled into the open, saying these logs were sourced by way of extortion and provided to Politico by the very same people conspiring against me, he said. What's most disheartening is that despite my unwavering support for Trump since 2016, rogue members of his administration, including Gavin Wax, have participated in this conspiracy to ruin me publicly simply because I challenged them privately. Wax, a staffer in Trump's State Department, formerly led the New York Young Republican Club, a separate city-based group that is at odds with the state organization of the New York State Young Republicans. He declined to comment. Now, despite his allusions to infighting, Junta still apologized, saying, "I am so sorry to those offended by the insensitive and inexcusable language found within the more than 28,000 messages of a private group chat that I created during my campaign to lead the Young Republicans." Now, while I take complete responsibility, I have had no way of verifying their accuracy and am deeply concerned that the message logs in question may have been deceptively doctored. Please don't try that. Now they want to act like they were doctored. No, this is what y'all said. Stand on it. These Republicans always have some lies. Now, at least one person in the Telegram chat works in the Trump administration, Michael Bartels, who, according to his LinkedIn account, serves as a senior advisor in the Office of General Counsel within the U.S. Small Business Administration. Now, Bartels did not have much to say in the chat, but he didn't offer any pushback against the offensive rhetoric in it either. He declined to comment. He's probably the one who leaked it. Okay, he's probably the one who leaked it because he didn't have anything to say, but didn't push back because he wanted them to keep talking so he'd have more dirt to throw. That's just my opinion. Now, a notarized affidavit signed by Bartels and obtained by Politico also shreds light on the intra-party rivalry that led the Restorer War Room. Okay, Telegram chat to be made public. That's what led to it. Bartels references Wax as well. Now, he wrote that he did not give Politico the chat and that Wax demanded in a phone call that he provide the full chat log, saying that when I attempted to resist that demand after providing some of the requested information, Wax threatened my professional standing and raised the possibility of potential legal action related to an alleged breach of non-disclosure agreements. This is what he claimed in the affidavit, saying my position within the New York Young Republican Club was directly threatened. Do y'all hear this? These people are something else. Walker, who now leads the New York State Young Republicans, touched on a similar theme, saying that he believes portions of the chat may have been altered, taken out of context, or otherwise manipulated, and that the private exchanges were obtained and released in a way clearly intended to inflict harm. He also apologized. Honey, they said what they said. Nobody's lying on them. These are a bunch of racist, demonic devils, okay? Saying there is no excuse for the language and tone and messages attributed to me. The language is wrong and hurtful, and I sincerely apologize. Why apologize if you said what you meant? See, that's one thing I will never do. I will never apologize for saying what I absolutely meant. Now, if I say something I don't mean, I said out of anger or whatever, that's different. But if I say something I know I mean, I'm standing on it. That's what they should do because they know darn well they meant everything they said. They didn't say any of that out of anger. They were just laughing and having a good old time being themselves. Okay, so don't apologize now. You said what you said. Okay, they say this has been a painful lesson about judgment and trust, and I am committed to moving forward with a greater care, respect, and accountability in everything I say and do. Yeah, okay. Now, mixed into former conversations about whipping votes, social media strategy, and logistics, the members of the chat slung around an array of slurs, which Politico is republishing to show how they spoke. Okay, like epithets like agates, okay, retarded, and ninja. Those appeared more than 251 times combined. Okay, do y'all hear it? And in one instance, Walker, who at the time was a staffer for Ort, talked about how a mutual friend of some in the chat dated this very obese Indian woman for a period of time. Junta responded that the woman was not Indian. She just didn't bathe often. Samuel Douglas, a state senator from northern Vermont and the head of the state's Young Republicans, replied. Y'all hear this? In a separate conversation, Gunta shared that his flight to Charleston, South Carolina landed safely. Then he offered some advice for his fellow Young Republicans, saying, if your pilot is a she and she looks 10 shades darker than someone from Sicily, just end it there. Scream the word no. No word. Okay, that's what he said. Douglas did not respond to the request for comment. In a statement, Ork called the members of the chat to resign, called for them to resign. It said, I was shocked and disgusted to learn about the racist, anti-Semitic, and misogynistic comments attributed to members of the New York State Young Republicans. He said, he forgot homophobic. Okay, this behavior is indefensible and has no place in our party or anywhere in public life. Since when? I thought most Republicans talked about this or talked like this. Walker had been in line to manage Republican Peter Oberacker's campaign or Oberacker's campaign for Congress in upstate New York. But a spokesperson for the campaign said Walker wouldn't be brought on in light of the comments in the chat. Okay, so now he's messed that up. They say the private rhetoric isn't happening in a vacuum. It comes amid a widespread coarsening of the broader political discourse and an incendiary and racially offensive tropes from the right become increasingly common in public debate. Last month, Trump posted an artificial intelligence generated video that showed House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero beside State Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, whose fabricated remarks were about trading free health care for immigrant votes. Okay, a false, long-running GOP trope. The sombrero meme has been widely used to mock Democrats as the government shutdown wears on. Okay, so anyway, that's enough right there. I'm going to stop right there, but I want you all to pay attention because here's the thing. Here's the thing that I find interesting. Now, those people, that's how they always talk. It's nothing new. And these young Republicans, Trump, I'm sure he's perfectly fine with the things that they say, except for the negative things they said about him. Okay, and in fact, I'm not surprised that they're being male chauvinists and talking about grape and things like that to women, because that's the kind of sick stuff that Trump talks about, and they've heard him talk about it at the Young Republicans Gala that they had some time ago. And when Trump got up there and bragged about some of the misogynistic things that he said. Okay, let's go to it.
Onto that stage just a few days later, and a general who's a fantastic general actually said to me, sir, I've been on the battlefield. Men have gone down on my left and on my right. I stood on hills where soldiers were killed. But I believe the bravest thing I've ever seen was the night you went onto that stage with Hillary Clinton after what happened. And then that woman asked you the first question about it. And I said, locker room talk. It's locker room talk. What the hell? What are you talking? Locker room talk. That was not a great...
So he called it locker room talk, right? I wonder if he's going to feel like that's all it was when he hears the stuff they had to say about him. Okay? Because if they had not said anything negative about him in any of those exchanges, he wouldn't have a problem with any of it. Okay? He would not have a problem with them calling black people the N-word, watermelon people, okay, monkeys, any of that. He wouldn't have a problem. All right? I find it interesting that none of them have said a word. Everybody's quiet and silent. And I wonder if it's going to be addressed. Okay, or if it has been, maybe I missed it. Has anyone heard of them mentioning this? Has anyone heard them talking about this? Okay, I find it very interesting. And see, here's the thing. What's also interesting is the fact that they want to have this purple revolution. Now, the first time I heard the term purple revolution was probably back during the George Bush era, when he was referring to Hurricane Katrina, when all that stuff was going on. Hold on. Let me go to what he said. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. But here's the reason why I'm not down with that. Okay, I'm not down with it because these people who didn't give a damn about anybody but themselves, they didn't, and these people who are clearly racist, okay, these people who clearly are against immigrants, okay, and these people who clearly just have so much to say and are down with all the BS that Trump is doing or that he was talking about he was going to do and everything, Project 2025 and all of that. Now they're complaining because the stuff that Trump is doing is impacting them negatively. Now they're losing jobs. Now they can't pay their bills. So now they want to talk about unity? Yeah, I don't think so. Because first of all, I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody who doesn't like the people that look like me. Okay? You just didn't like us days ago, but now you want to unify with us? Yeah, I don't trust you and I'm not buying it. And I don't want to deal with you because at the end of the day, hold your own. Like we've always had to do. Didn't I tell you all that they were going to be coming for black folk? And another thing is you got to be real careful because at the end of the day, see, I don't know about y'all, but I already told you I love it when the snakes fight amongst themselves. I absolutely love to see it. I literally love to see it because they start so much mess and mayhem and chaos with black folk, following us around, harassing us, literally being obsessed with us, critiquing every little thing we do, starting mess with us and then trying to play the victim and making us the villains in the story. That's how we are always painted and portrayed. So no, I don't trust them. Okay? I don't trust them. That's why I showed you all that video months ago of that guy sitting there crying and talking about, oh, I'm a painter, I have my own business. I'm not making any money. I'm not getting any contracts or whatever. Yeah, you voted for Trump and now you have buyer's remorse. Well, guess what? I can't help you, beloved. Okay, because we tried to tell some of y'all, but y'all didn't want to listen at the end of the day. Okay, former President George W. Bush coined the term Purple Revolution to describe the first democratic elections in Iraq in January of 2005. Okay, the phrase referred to the purple ink voters used to stain their fingers to prove they had cast their ballots. With that being said, the image of Iraqis proudly holding up the purple stained fingers became a hopeful symbol of a new path. Now, modern day revolution on February the 25th or 23rd of 2005. Bush explicitly called Iraq's quest for freedom a modern day purple revolution. Okay, we can sit down somewhere. These days, when they talk about it, like right now, they're really talking about us working together, like a combination of the left and the right. Okay, the red and the blue making purple. That's what they're talking about. But I don't want to come down. I don't want to work with them. These are the same people that love Charlie Kirk, who was clearly racist. These are the same people that want to make him a martyr, okay, and immortalize him, and who compare him to Dr. King. I want to unify with you. Okay, please make it all make sense. These are the same people that were just talking about revenge, okay, avenging someone's death. Y'all don't know what you did, acting like a whole bunch of people did something when it was only one person. That person's name is Tyler Robinson, and that person's one of them. So I'm sorry, say what? A purple revolution? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, I don't give a damn about nobody's purple revolution except for maybe one, and that would be this one. Okay. Now, if they want to talk about Prince and his Purple Revolution, they want to go back and reminisce about that. We can talk about it all day long, twice on Sundays. But this, what they're talking about, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. And anybody black should not be down with it either. And if you are, I have questions. Okay, I have several questions, in fact. Now, let's go to what some people had to say on the internet. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Yeah. I'm not here for it. Tylene said, this reminds me of the song by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Tears of a Clown. That was a good one. Not Tears of a Clown. Ooh, honey, this is funny. Line of Judah says some white MAGA claiming minorities are DEI. Exactly. Like, dude, I don't want anything to do with y'all. Y'all are the ones that are against DEI. Okay. Y'all are the ones that think that we don't have brain processing power. Y'all literally agree with all of that BS that Charlie Kirk said, even though most of it was lies. Okay. So no, I don't want a purple revolution. Miss me with it. Do what you gotta do to maintain. Do what you gotta do. How is it for these farmers that voted for Trump Can you imagine how they have to be feeling right now? They sat up there and voted for this man. Now, Argentina is selling their damn soybeans to China and not them. And to boot, to make it even matters even worse, Trump just gave them $20 billion to boot. So yeah, I know y'all do want a damn revolution, but you ain't gonna get one from us. Okay, if I want a revolution, I'll start my own. Okay, please miss me with it. But let's continue. I find it all interesting. Now, these people are crazier than crazy. How could we trust them? I would never want to unify with somebody who just as soon stabbed me in the back. I don't need to keep looking over my shoulder. How could I ever move forward? Okay, if I had to, please miss me with it is all I'm saying, honey. Okay, nope.
Oh, y'all not talking about some goddamn purple revolution. Is you out your goddamn cotton picking mind? Since day one on this campaign trail, he's been a racist, misogynistic asshole. Since day fucking one, the first month he was rolling back segregation laws from the 1960s, segregated facilities. What are y'all talking about? DEI programs, affirmative action. I'm talking about the government got gutted from Doge, and hundreds of thousands of black people lost their jobs. Y'all the same ones that agree that black women don't have the IQ or intelligence to get these jobs. I'm talking about people that in DC, where I am, people that I know that have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, law degrees, passed the bar exam, doctorate degrees, losing their jobs left and right because y'all think that they not qualified after y'all just been getting in these positions, been underqualified your whole fucking life. You feel intimidated. But now y'all want a purple revolution? Are you kidding me? You talking about the same people who didn't want due process for people like Abrego Garcia, people that's just snatching people up off the street. Y'all just now talking about some purple revolution because he talking about some damn taking back the First Amendment? What do you mean? He been taking away our rights. Been taking away our rights. Been taking away women's rights. Been taking away women's right to choose. Took away the rights for the states, taking away EBT, taking away Medicaid, Medicare. He talked about this on his campaign trail. This ain't new. This wasn't about the price of eggs, and y'all fucking knew it. Y'all sat there and watched as he sent them people to CCOT, a camp in El Salvador that's not even on American soil, as prisoners that would never get out. It's people showing up missing. 1,200 immigrants are missing. And y'all don't care because they're brown. Y'all never cared. On the campaign trail, he wasn't just talking about Hispanic people. He was talking about black people, Haitians. He said they were eating cats and dogs. Y'all didn't care. All y'all cared was about some people a man putting on a dress. I don't give a fuck about that. If you care that much about it, it's because you need to look deeper inside. When have you ever been in a room with a man with a dress on? You haven't. Unless, stop worrying about shit that don't affect you. If you pro-life, then you and your goddamn wife need to be pro-life. What the fuck do that got to do with a nigga in a different state? Y'all don't care about none of these things that he's talking about. Y'all knew he wasn't a Christian. Y'all knew that he didn't respect women. He had 34 felonies. Y'all don't care about no goddamn law and order. The police out there fighting for their life against ICE. The troops that they sending out there.
And let me say this: the reason the cops are having such a problem with ICE is because many of ICE are Proud Boys. Okay, like somebody said in the chat, and I'm glad y'all brought that up. Because yeah, that would explain why the police are having all these problems with them, because they don't want to listen to the police. They don't like the police. They've been deputized themselves. Okay, they're a whole militia. You think they want to listen to the cops? No, they want to do whatever the hell they want to do, just like Trump. Okay? At the end of the day,
Don't even want to do the things that ICE trying to get them to do. They got FBI getting off of their cases because they don't want people investigating cases with the FBI, what they really supposed to be doing, finding them kids, them people that's touching kids, because their whole administration is full of kid touchers. Y'all got the lady from the WWE in administration. Y'all got Lawrence Taylor in administration. RFK Jr. in administration. Y'all got the dumbest, most unqualified people in the administration. Y'all got them doing speeches with the military, telling them that if they want to rough people up on the streets, there won't be no consequences. They telling people that when they're doing this training, then women need to be doing the same thing as men, and if they can't, then they need to get kicked out the military. And not only that, they saying that all of these cases where women that investigating things that's happening to them in the military, they need to be a little bit more lenient on that. Ted Cruz just went up there and said we need to stop attacking people that touch kids. Y'all don't care. Talking about some purple revolution.
Y'all heard what he said. Now let's go to the next video because this is all crazy. And I agree with him 100%. Okay? That's what I'm talking about right here. Let's go to this next one. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
I'm not joining, and let me show you why. We're going to break this down a little bit. We're going to get into it, and I'm going to show you the leader of the Purple Revolution and what he has to say and why he's sorry that he voted for Trump. But you're going to have to hang around because then I'm going to show you something else.
Is that I apologize from the bottom of my heart for voting for Trump, for voting for everything that ended up happening.
That was a pretty good apology. Somebody from the outside looking in might say, hey, maybe this guy, just maybe, has changed his ways. But then I dug a little bit, and not too long ago, he made this video.
More. I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut. Charlie Kirk's death sparked outrage with a lot of people that normally stay quiet. But I just don't give a fuck no more. Any of you Democrats, don't come near me. We don't want nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. And if you think that you can just do whatever you want.
You said that just a few weeks ago about us that don't have the same ideology as you, that you want us nowhere near you. You see, I remember you.
Okay, so unfortunately, I can't play the rest of the video because he has this music that he plays in the background that's clearly copyrighted. So I can't play the rest of what he said, but I wanted y'all to hear it because what he said was that he remembers him. He's been following this guy. He said that this guy was talking all kinds of crap about, like, basically doing harm to people, I believe, just talking real crazy. And this is somebody who cannot be trusted. Now he wants to say, first of all, let me apologize for voting for Trump. He's not sorry he voted for Trump. And even if you were, what do you apologize to us for? We don't have anything to do with who you vote for, sir. Okay, but the bottom line is he was just talking all that greasy stuff about the left days ago. And we know that when people like him are talking about the left or Democrats, they're also talking about Black people because people like him tend to believe that all Black people vote Democratic. Okay? So he's talking about us too. So I'm sorry, and this is exactly why. You can't trust these people. Now they want to cry foul. And also, here's the main reason you can't trust them. Okay? Because sugar and salt look exactly alike. Which one's which if I take off the titles? You wouldn't know, and neither would I. Okay, so please miss me with it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not down for the revolution with them. They can miss me with it. They can have it by themselves. You don't get to sit up here and cry foul because all the BS that you did is now, not working. Or the stuff that you thought you were going to have is not working. Okay. And Trump's causing you all these problems. Okay. Trump's causing everybody problems, but some of us knew that he would. And some of y'all just didn't care because you thought that because you're racist and he's racist and you hate immigrants and he hates immigrants and you don't like Black folk and he don't like Black folk, then y'all would all just get along and have a whole happy family and everything's going to work in your favor. But now you see that Trump doesn't give a damn about y'all asses either. He doesn't give a darn about anybody except for himself, his kids, and their money. Oh, and his billionaire friends. And that's only because it's whatever he can get from them. Okay? So now they want to sit here and whine and grovel All right. Talking about a darn purple revolution. Like, miss us with it. I am so done. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share.
So let me get this straight. Now that Trump's fucked up policies, Project 2025, the big, beautiful bill, are affecting you, by you, I mean conservative white Americans who voted for Trump multiple times, now you want to be upset? Now you want to call for unity? Now you want to extend an olive branch? Now that white people are losing their farms that have been in their families for generations, now you're calling for unity. Now that white people are losing their houses, their health care, their 401ks, now you want to call for unity. Now that white people are having to close their businesses because their workers are being deported, and in some cases, their spouses being deported, now you want to call for unity. Now that white people are getting kicked off of their public assistance, now you want to call for unity.
And let me tell you all something. Do you all remember the guy who had the Trump restaurant? It was called Trump Burger or something. The Trump Burger guy, remember? He had the whole restaurant dedicated to Trump with the Make America Great stuff everywhere and all of that. And his dumb self got deported. He literally got deported. He thought he had it made in the shade because he was so diehard for Trump. Same thing, mark my words. Okay, the same thing is going to eventually happen to Enrique Tarrio. Okay, he may think that he's all safe right now because Trump pardoned him. Okay, he may think it's all gravy because he wants to be down for ICE, even though he's an immigrant himself. But just mark my words, because every dog has their day, and he's going to be up out of here too. He just doesn't know it yet. Just like so many others who sat there and voted for Trump, knowing that Trump was going to go in on immigration, but I guess they thought they were going to be excluded. It's just amazing to me. How the hell are you an immigrant, but yet you think that it's in your best interest to vote for Trump, who's talked about mass deportations? How could you be so ignorant? It's no different than the raccoons who sit up there and be on team wanton supremacy and then look stupid as hell and are so surprised and shocked and appalled, dare I say, once they get their ninja wake-up call, Candace Owens and people like her, when they realize that they really didn't ever have a seat at the table. They were just allowed to keep a seat warm. The minute they say something that goes against the grain, they're out of there. And everybody turns on them, and now they're blackballed. And now you want to come get your black card back? But when we didn't give it to her, then she went back into her old spiel. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. These people are something else.
Now that some of your daughters, mothers, nieces, granddaughters have lost their jobs due to DEI, now you want to call for unity and a purple revolution? So we're just going to ignore the fact that you were completely on board with all of Trump's racist bullshit when you thought it was only going to affect black people and people of color. Then, yeah, you were all for it. But the moment those chickens came home to roost, now all of a sudden it's a problem and you need help. You need to get some allies. Now you want to come together and sit down at the table and just be a unified front and move forward in peace and working together. And we can get our country back together. Well, seeing as how your vote has this country exactly where it is now, on behalf of black people, people of color, and everyone else with normal brain function who heard everything that Trump and all his sycophants said while he was running and all the shit that he was going to do that he did, fuck you. What are you surprised about now? He told you exactly what he was going to do. You just thought it wasn't going to affect you. So you can take your olive branch, you can take your hand that's extended in unity and let's all sit down and kumbaya, and you can shove it up your fucking ass. The only purple revolution I care about is Prince. So if we're not talking about the Sign of the Times album, if we're not talking about the Purple Rain album, I don't care.
So go lie in it, okay? You made your bed, so lie in it, honey. We don't have time for it. You see how they think they can play us? Did they think that black folk were going to be glad to join hands and link arms with them and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, "We shall overcome"? What a hoot. What a hoot. Do y'all hear this? After all the dirt that they did after Charlie Kirk's assassination, trying to go in on black folk online, talking trash, purposely looking for black folk to get fired from your jobs, threatening the people at HBCUs, but now? No, I'm sorry. Shout out to Prince and the Revolution, because that's all we care about, and damn sure ain't y'all. All right. Kikoba said, Queen have been nominated for the People's Pulitzer Prize for Integrity in Live Grassroots Journalism. Have I been nominated? No, beloved. Hopefully somebody will remember me one of these good old days. Flintwater said, we shall overcome, Queen, without them. Exactly. Okay, they can miss us with it. I mean, it's the nerve of it all for me. Even the people who look like them don't even want a purple revolution, okay, if they're on the left.
Now that nobody's talking about the Purple Revolution anymore, I think I want to try to add some footnotes. For starters, trying to rebrand it as Restoring Old America was a huge red flag.
Oh, yeah, and I forgot to tell you all that. That's what they tried to do after nobody was falling for the BS, and we were like going in on them. Then they started calling it going back to old America. They tried to rebrand it. Like, go back to old America. First of all, what black person wants to do that either? Which part of old America are you talking about? Jim Crow or slavery? Or when we had to fight for civil rights? Make it all make sense.
That alone betrayed a deep misunderstanding of history and the present moment. Old America is not some neutral term. Many black Americans, immigrants, indigenous peoples, women, LGBTQ+, for them, old America wasn't some golden age. It was an era of violence, of exclusion, of disenfranchisement. Romanticizing that, even under the banner of restoration, that echoes exactly what made Make America Great Again so dangerous. Unity cannot be built on nostalgia for an America that excluded the very people you're now asking to unify with you. And unfortunately, what often begins as an apology will quickly morph into a performance, especially if the person apologizing gets followers and attention and praise for their transformation. You cannot center your own awakening as the movement. You cannot ask the people who were most harmed by the systems you enabled to be the bridge. You cannot use your story as the proof of change. You have to do the deep work of decentering yourself. Healing and unity do not begin with the oppressor's redemption arc. They begin with the safety and dignity of those who've been harmed. When a white man says he's changed, especially coming from a MAGA-aligned past, the proof isn't just in some apology video. You need to platform the voices of the harmed communities. And where are you taking your guidance from, right? Who are you listening to? Is it black women? Indigenous thinkers? Other marginalized peoples? Probably the biggest tell is how someone responds to criticism then. Do you get defensive? Or do you get curious? Now, ultimately, when the spotlight fades, what are they doing? Are they showing up? Consistently? Quietly? If you're like me, you were probably very cautious, but a little hopeful. Purple Revolution. When it starts to look more like a vanity project instead of a people-centered movement, especially when someone's trying to set the terms for unity before understanding the harm. Now here's the thing, we don't have to burn that bridge, but we also don't need to cross it just because somebody laid it down. People can grow. I believe in redemption, but not in cheap grace. Real unity is going to require accountability, not just an apology. And that old America, that's got to go. There's no way. You need to center those who have been harmed, not just as voices, but also as leaders. The pathway forward, if there is one, and I do hope there is, it must be built on stopping harm, centering justice, and listening far more than speaking. We can believe in people's ability to change and insist that they do the work without applause. That's not gatekeeping. That's safeguarding the future.
Okay, so very well said. At the end of the day, they need to sit down somewhere, okay? Because here's the thing. This is why This is why we should definitely not, okay, participate in the BS, because for one, these people never gave a damn about us. They never cared about what was in our best interest. They never wanted to help in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And they probably thought that even if they F up, well, we don't really have to worry. We'll just get the black people on our side. Okay, that's probably what they were already thinking that they won't have any consequences. Well, you're going to have consequences, okay? You're going to have to deal with it. And then somebody said the farmers were taking themselves up out of here. Yeah, they are. There has been very well documented documentation of farmers being caught up in this whole thing with self-deletion because of the immense financial issues that they're having, okay? And environmental pressures also. So, and this all came from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Okay. Very sad state of affairs. But do you all think your president cares? Because I assure you that he doesn't. He doesn't care at all. I mean, it's almost unbelievable. And the reason I say almost is because you just never know what idiotic thing Trump is going to do. But it's almost unbelievable to know that this idiot is sitting up here, complaining about China and the soybeans when he's the one that started the whole trade war with them, and then turns around and gives $20 billion to Argentina, who's now trading their soybeans with China, while our farmers in the U.S. are sitting here struggling to make ends meet. And he just took a huge, chunk out of the revenue that they could generate by selling those soybeans. He just messed that up for them. And they're probably never going to get it back for all we know. Because like that farmer said, why would China keep coming back and forth with Trump? He's so inconsistent. It's like he's very indecisive. He can't make up his mind. One day it's this, the next day it's that. It's like he's always just doing something crazy out of the blue. It's like you never know what you're going to get from him. Okay? You just never know what you're going to get from this idiot. So anyway, honey, it's all bad. It's all bad. And I keep telling you all it's only going to get worse. And I promise you that it is. So before we close out the broadcast, let's go to a new segment that I literally just started today. And it's called One Moment in Crime. So let's talk about it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Let's go to this video of these two women who were definitely abusers. Okay, and then after this, we're out of here, beloveds.
Meet the Garcia sisters, Brenda and Tanya. Now, if you believe what prosecutors are saying, these two women are beyond sick. They are twisted. Let me read to you what the Montgomery County Sheriff is saying about the Garcia sisters. On September 28th, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office deputies and detectives assigned to the Special Victims Unit responded to a call for service involving a 12-year-old child who disclosed ongoing physical and sexual abuse. The child was taken to a local hospital where medical staff confirmed injuries consistent with abuse and malnutrition. As a result of the investigation, on October 3rd, detectives executed arrest warrants for Brenda Garcia, 38 years old, and Tanya Garcia, 37 years old. Charges included felony injury to a child, unlawful restraint, and invasive visual recording. Let's get to the details. This is from the arrest warrant. Are you sitting down? Deputy Ferguson stated she saw DM, who is the victim here, the accuser, injuries all over her body. DM had a large gash on the top back of her head. The gash wound was opened, and EMS told her that it appeared it could be infected. DM said she was sexually abused in Houston, and Brenda took her from that home to live with. DM said that CPS was involved with that case, but when CPS was looking for DM, Brenda told CPS that DM had moved back to Honduras with her biological mother. The arrest warrant further says that she was beaten with a thick stick on the back and legs, hit and slapped everywhere, tied up with zip ties at night and during the day to a chair for stealing food, forced to strip nude, crawl on the floor, bark like a dog while being photographed, strangled with a belt, being told, just die already. She's 12. Okay, let's check back in with our think tank. Carmen Rowe, Lori Murray, Ali Benevento. Carmen, this is near Houston where all this is happening. Explain to us how they're going to be dealt with in the system of justice there with these types of allegations.
You know, Vinny, that's a great question. Montgomery County is 30 minutes away from Houston, and it is a small, conservative place where these ladies will never leave custody. This is a place where driving while intoxicated suspects who are convicted get life in prison. These ladies are both charged with a first-degree felony, and it's likely they will get life in prison. But the notion that they're going to go home anytime soon or perhaps ever is something that is not realistic in a county like Montgomery County. And keep in mind, they have security footage and text messages where they're dotting their I's and they're crossing their T's, already put together corroborating this young lady's version of events. So.
Yeah. Ali, this, there's a lot of shocking cases we cover, obviously, but when you get to behavior like this is beyond shocking. This is demented. You are torturing a 12-year-old girl who I guess her mom is from another country. I don't know the circumstances of her coming to the United States, but it seems like she was brought here to be abused.
Yeah, I mean, if this is all true, and assuming these ladies are convicted and found guilty, and sounds like Carmen knows if that happens, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, then if all of that is true, they will be exactly where they belong. There's a special kind of evil. There's a special kind of, as you say, demented for people who harm children, helpless individuals. These details that are coming out of this case are unimaginably horrific. I feel for this little girl. Again, assuming all of this is true, some people just should not be around children. And I really hope that this little girl gets the help that she's probably going to need for the rest of her life. I can't even imagine someone behaving in a way that's so evil.
I wonder if there's more to this, Lori. I feel like there should be more to this story, like detailing how this little girl ended up where she ended up with these people. And number two, where are all these videos and recordings ending up?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I agree with Ali that these women have a special place waiting on them. But this is a 12-year-old girl. From what I read, she was staying with this uncle who then sexually assaulted her. And then she goes for help to these women and ends up in this situation. A 12-year-old girl in just her short little life has been through all of this. It's horrifying and tragic. And we're seeing a lot more of it, unfortunately. But I definitely agree with other ladies. This is one that is going to go down right along with these two ladies. They're never going to see the light of day again, hopefully.
Carmen, do you think the investigation goes any further here? Because I feel like there's more to this story.
Oh, no question, Vinny. I mean, keep in mind, her mother is in Honduras. She's staying with an uncle who's sexually abusing her. And then she's taken into the care of these ladies who, for the last 6 months, have been abusing her, keeping her hostage inside the home. And apparently they have all the video evidence inside the home to show what's been going on. Now, my understanding is this 12-year-old stayed in their home because they have a young daughter in the home as well.
Wow.
I think the charges are going to pile up in this case. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. They haven't even made their first court appearance, and we may hear more at that time as well.
Carmen Rowe, Lori Murray, Ali Benevento. Great to have you here. See you again.
That is so sad and very depraved, okay? Just so sick. There are absolutely nefarious people in this world. And like Kitty Muse said, Kitty says, I believe demons walk this earth and we need to be spiritually armed. We absolutely do. We definitely do. This is all so sick. Okay, so anyway, with that all been said, I forgot to play this last video about the Purple Revolution, and then we're out of here. I may come back later if there's any breaking news. I definitely will. Other than that, I can't say for certain, but I just...
Black Americans do not fall for this Purple Revolution bullshit, because let me point something out to you. They're talking about taking racist right-wing Republicans and putting them in with racist white liberals. Black Americans, you remember the LA City Council? That's your white liberal. You remember this freaking Chicago PD, LA PD, NYPD, how they ain't fixed none of that shit, but when they got Joe Biden, they freaking said, hey, we shouldn't defund the police, we should fund the police. The same people on both sides who had kids and goddamn ages. Yeah, same people on both sides. So basically, they want to double up on their racism. They need you in the mix because when they are done fighting each other, they gonna turn and look at you, black people. Fuck the purple revolution. No, if you want a revolution, let's have a black revolution. Don't you fall for their political tricks. Be a political free agent. Fuck people. Seriously.
Okay, what he said at the end of the day, if you want a revolution, start your own. Don't fall in with them. Okay, and he's absolutely right. Because I already told you all, everything that goes wrong, it's our fault. Even if we didn't have anything to do with it. They want us to come outside and play in the rain with them. So when they get mud on their shoes, they can say, oh, look at the black people. They did it. The watermelon people. Okay, if we wanted to see monkeys, we go to the zoo. Yeah, okay, we'll go right on to the zoo. Because we're not for it. Okay, we're not here for it. Do it by yourself. Okay? Do it by yourself. Nitty said, how about a palm-colored revolution? Frank Nitty said, we the scapegoat. Exactly. That's what they always want to do, is use us for the scapegoat. But no, we're not doing it. And he's absolutely right about once they stop fighting with each other, they're going to start fighting us. Isn't that the way it always turns out? Please. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly how it turns out. That's the plan. But that's okay. We're not getting involved in it. We're not getting involved with their beef, and we're not getting involved with the whole thing going on with ICE. We don't have anything to do with it. All these people want to talk grease about black people, but then when they need a leg up, here they come begging for black people. Black people, how come y'all are not helping us? I just think it's really sad that the black people are the ones that got us deported. They're the ones that got ICE on us, and now they won't even help. Isn't that what the girl said just days ago? Really? So that's our fault? Funny thing is, she could sit there and blame black people, but you have immigrants like herself and her people, but you have Enrico Tarrio, who's a whole wanton supremacist, though he's an immigrant and he wants to work with ICE and have a whole ICE app and all of that, but she wants to blame black people. You see how stupid that is? You see, the thing that none of these people want to do is blame their own. That's what none of them want to do. Do y'all notice that? When Charlie Kirk was assassinated by one of their own, somebody that was on the right, an extremist, a radical, no, they were hoping it was a black person. And when they found out it wasn't, well, they still want to talk greasy about black folk. When they're talking about they and enemies from within and all of that, who do y'all think they're talking about? Us. Now they want to sit there and act like we're supposed to give them a leg up. Yeah, I don't think so. You know what they need to do? They need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Okay? Don't sit here and whine and complain and say that you're not making any money. You can't afford your dinner, your groceries, okay, your bills. Okay, your family members are getting fired from jobs. Don't sit there and whine and complain about it. Instead, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. But guess what? It's hard for them to do. It's hard for them to do, and here's why. The reason it's so hard for them to do it is because they're so used to having everything handed to them on a silver platter, while we've had to fight, scratch, and grovel to get things accomplished in our community. They've always had it easy. Okay, they've always had it easy. Even after slavery ended, they were given reparations, but not the poor slaves. They were simply taken to jail for being vagrants, for not having where to go. Okay, that's why they came up with loitering laws. Okay, please pay attention. At the end of the day, yeah, they're going to have to figure this out for themselves, and I don't give a damn if they figure it out at all, quite frankly. All right. Lillian X says, Queen, I watched the broadcast you did yesterday about the evil deeds done to us by the CIA. Great job. Did you know half of what, I didn't know half of what you reported on. Had my blood literally boiling. Thank you, beloved. Okay, yeah, they've done a whole lot more dirt than that. A whole lot more dirt than that. And you know what? Some of these people who are now whining and crying, talking about a purple revolution, they were absolutely complicit. Their ancestors, at least, their grandparents, and their parents were complicit with those things, many of them. And guess what? So are they. They didn't have a problem with any of those things. They'll just say, well, that's just a stain on our history. Slavery, they call it the original sin. They know damn well slavery is not the original sin, but at the end of the day, that's what they love to call it, right? They act like it's something they had to do. That's what they say. If they had to have slavery, why did they make themselves slaves? Okay, why didn't they make themselves slaves? But we're lazy. Please miss me with it. Yeah, I don't trust these people. People who have never liked us, always going against us, didn't want us to have a leg up, didn't want us to have DEI so we could try to have equal footing in the workplace or any of those things. No, why should we trust you now and to think that you're going to actually work with us? You're going to work with us only until you get what you want. In the meantime, you'll be plotting and planning on how to X us out of any benefits or anything lucrative that comes to fruition from the joining of forces. That's what they would do. These are the same type of people that if you were locked in the elevator with any of them and you were starving and you had to be there for until the next day or a couple of days or whatever, and then one of you had a candy bar or a pack of crackers or something in your purse or in your pocket, you'd share it with them, but they'd be hiding, pretending they didn't have anything either, like they're just starving. And then when you doze off and go to sleep or whatever, they'd eat the whole damn thing. That's them. Do you want to trust that? Because I don't. Okay? Yeah, I don't. I have no incentive, all right, for doing anything with them ever. They can pull themselves up by their bootstraps because isn't that what they've always told us? And when this is over, when this whole thing is over, when we're past the government shutdown, when Trump's finally out of office and things hopefully are trying to get back to normal, and they want to complain about what's going on right now, let's tell them to get over it. Okay, let's tell them, hey, y'all, that's over with. That's in the past. Get over it. Tell them that. Don't let them sit there and still have a whole pity party. And when they talk about it, tell them they're playing the victims. Okay, like they do us. Tell them they're playing the broke card. Like they say we're playing the race card. Yeah, tell them they're playing the broke card again, because that's all they want to do. They want to talk trash about us when we whine and complain and say we're playing the victims. But in fact, aren't we the victims? I'm sorry, did I miss something? Aren't we, in fact, the victims? We don't have to play the victims. We are the victims. We're the victims of oppression and a whole stolen heritage. Okay? A whole stolen heritage, Hebrews to Negroes. Never forget. With that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And I may see you all later, so check your notifications. If I do come back later, it'll be about 7 o'clock. Okay, so until next time, beloveds, talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got